Freshman offensive tackle Andrew Babalola is feared to have suffered a season-ending knee injury. We don't know at this point what the severity of that is, what the timeline might look like, but Andrew Babalola, a guy who's a 5-star freshman, he was the number 16 overall player in the 2025 class, the other 5-star recruit that Michigan football signed during this cycle, was battling with Evan Link for the left tackle job. And it seems like Link has done his part throughout camp to hold him off. But, fellas, this is a blue chip piece and a freshman that if he didn't start right away, a lot of people thought he was going to play a lot, if not start at some point this season. So it's a big blow.
Yeah, in fact, a source close to the program that I talked to on Friday, I think it was, and we just put up an article probably literally half an hour before that about how well he was playing and how he was pushing, and that he couldn't guarantee that Evan Link would hold on to that starting left tackle job because Babalola had been so good. So disappointing, but you know what? Here's the thing. Blake Frazier finally came back. As our source said, he's 100% now, and he's battling at left tackle. He's battling at right tackle. So the hope is that with him healthy now, he can kind of make up for it. But Babalola is going to be a special player. And the fact that he's not going to get time this year really sucks because I think he earned it. And I asked specifically, too, is he going to be one of the extra ones in the jumbo packages, the Goliath packages, as they call some of them? And they said, very good possibility that he was going to be that guy, but obviously now he won't. So really stinks, but I'll say this. I have no question in our interactions with Andrew Babalola, what kind of a kid he is, what kind of a worker he is, that he's going to come back healthy and strong and be a huge factor next year.
There I am muted, talking to nobody, talking to myself. The way they were talking about him, I figured he would get time right away this season, even at left tackle, maybe rotate in a little bit and could win the job, at some point during the season at left tackle. And he, at the very least, he was pushing Evan Link, competing there. So it's tough to see. This stuff happens, though, and that's one of the reasons why you need depth. You need competition on the offensive line. And at the very least, he did his part in pushing other guys and being that guy during fall camp and then going down with an unfortunate injury. You feel terrible for him, obviously. And the other thing is, for the future, he doesn't have this year to develop in practice and get all those reps in, because those are really valuable reps for offensive linemen too. One of the reasons why a lot of them get good and earn roles as they go along in their college careers is because of the work they put in when no one's watching, behind the scenes, when people kind of forget about you for a year or two. And I think Babalola, again, was going to play right away, maybe on a more accelerated timeline than a lot of offensive linemen. But either way, the work he was going to put in practice would be just as valuable for the future. But now he'll have to kind of do some other things mentally, learn defense, learn offense, continue to learn the playbook, those sorts of things. But I'm sure he'll do everything he can, but it is tough. And, tackle was a big question mark for Michigan already. You have less depth there now. Blake Frazier, kind of a swing tackle, probably has to, be your backup left tackle. He has no experience either. So it's going to be tough.
It's a blow for sure, both for Michigan and for his long-term development. And that's not to say that his career is over. By no means are we saying that at all. But, he's a guy that, when you bring in these 5-star type of guys, and a lot of those guys have the tools right away. He seemed like the whole package, though, like a playable, college-ready offensive lineman, whether he was in the 2 deep or he was a starter. And the only way for guys like some of those guys come in with all the tools in the world, but need the mental reps. I think he's a guy who, obviously mental reps help, but the only way he's going to get better and reach his potential is by playing game snaps. So you table that for a year, it looks like, without knowing the specifics of the injury or the timeline, you'd have to think if it's a season ender, that probably means spring ball is off the table too, or at least he's on the rehab circuit when that's coming, or we'll see if he's ready for fall camp next year. But a lot of those details still kind of out there for him. Evan Link is likely this team's left tackle now, which, there are 2 ways you can go with this. One, you can be excited for that, given that, he has been the favorite throughout camp. The coaching staff has been singing his praises throughout camp thus far. There's been some skepticism about his ability to hold. He had trouble holding up on the right side. So naturally, you move over to the left, where blind side of the quarterback, edge rushers on that side, maybe a little more athletic. There are questions there, but Sherrone Moore said last week, Evans played tremendously better. His confidence is where he needed to be. Left tackle is a constant battle. So you would think that Blake Frazier, he's the guy we've heard most, is that next guy up in the mix, pushing at both tackle spots. Sherrone Moore, coaching staff has said he's also pushed Andrew Sprague at right tackle. So he's probably that next guy up. And, when you talk about who else moves up a rung or two on the ladder, probably means a guy like Ty Haywood is the guy they put a little more of a premium on, maybe getting ready to play at some point. Brady Norton, in case of emergency, though he's been getting most of his work at guard, and he's gotten some work at center as well. So, everyone else moves up a rung on the ladder. But, when you have a guy, something that's so exciting about the idea that they're going to start Bryce Underwood at quarterback this year is that, yeah, you're a young guy, and there are going to be some lumps that you take. But, through those lumps comes a big payoff, big reward, maybe as early as this season. That's not there for him now. And it does, to me, it caps the potential of the offensive line a little bit.
Yeah, probably. And Ty Haywood's not ready. Speaking to our source on Friday, said that he's got a ways to go. He's got to start winning some more one-on-ones. He says he's a huge dude, but he has got to really pick it up. So, yeah, it's a blow to the depth. And who knows, maybe he could have been a starter. And by the end of the year, that Ohio State game, maybe he's, one of your better linemen. So, but, I hate to say this, every team has injuries and every program has injuries. Every program feels snake bit at least 1 year, right? When you have 3 or 4 guys, and it's like, man, but that's just part of the deal. This is a violent sport. We got some idiot over here in comments saying karma coming for Michigan. This is just the first domino. Go back to your hole. This is a kid who suffered a knee injury, you loser. And this has nothing to do with anything but just really bad luck for the kid.
Yeah, no doubt. And now you have basically no tackles with experience. I mean, I'm looking at and like you mentioned, Anthony, you have Brady Norton who can play tackle and has played tackle in college, but maybe not cut out for it or his ideal position in the Big Ten at Michigan. But you have Connor Jones, who's never started a game, Brooks Barr, Evan Link is the only one with starting experience in terms of being a full-time starter. Brady Norton's there. Just mentioned him. Blake Frazier hasn't played in a game. Ben Roebuck, I don't believe, has played. Andrew Sprague has played a little bit, started 1 game last year at right tackle, and he will be your starting right tackle if things hold. And then you have the 2 freshmen that you brought in, Andrew Babalola, who's injured, and Ty Haywood, who's not ready. So, it's a pretty dicey situation. I think the interior of this line can still be pretty strong, and I think Sprague can be good, and I think Evan Link could be improved for sure. But there's just a lot of unknowns out there. And not that Babalola was a known as to what he's going to be as a freshman, but it just limits your options.
Yeah, it does. And it's disappointing. But again, yeah. And there are still question marks about this line with or without him, like you said, Clay, because there just aren't a lot of proven there. So one less guy in the mix, and that is disappointing.
And Chris, to your point about the injuries and this happens, this is what you prepare for on the offensive line. It's why Sherrone Moore talks about wanting to have 10 guys. And Chip Lindsey said, you need 3 tackles and 3 guards, 2 centers, that sort of thing. That's probably on the low end of what you may need. We saw, multiple years here in the last few on some of them, Michigan having really good lines where they had to use, 6, 7, 8 starters. So it's why you recruit a lot of them. It's hard to hang on to them now. I mean, look at Notre Dame last year. They had guys that started in the CFP run to the championship game. And then since they were maybe not going to start this year, they go elsewhere. The Rocco Spindler goes to Nebraska. Pat Coogan goes to Indiana. Guys that started in the national championship game. It's hard to build that depth on the O-line. Other teams are going to experience this. But it's just one of those unique challenges right now where you can go wherever you want and start if you have an opportunity to. So you don't have as much depth. Michigan had guys that started games last year leave the program after last season. Andrew Gentry was a starting right tackle. Jeff Percy has made starts at tackle as well.
Yeah, Steve Morrison had asked in the chat. It was just on the screen for a bit there. Horrible news for Babalola. Can he get a medical redshirt plus a redshirt, or does a medical redshirt count as a redshirt? Yeah, if he doesn't play, this is a redshirt season for him. Now, 5-star guy, probably that will be something that comes up later on if his college career goes into a 4th or fifth season.
Right. Well,
Medical
he's
redshirt.
medical and plus a red shirt. He's not going to be here for 5 years. So I don't think that's anything even. That's not even on the table. So most likely he's going to be now a 4-year guy here. If he played this year and had been the starter, hell, he could have been a 3-year guy here if he was really good. But, that's to be determined. We haven't seen him play in a game yet. Last year, as my source told me, Evan Link had a great camp and had great weeks of practice, and it didn't really translate to the games. So now they're confident that it will, but you don't know. So I will say that, yeah, I do think that Babalola will be a 3 or 4-year guy now. And so I don't think that's relevant.
But you can get a medical and a regular red shirt.
Yes.
Like just
and he still could be a 3-year guy. I mean, he comes back healthy next year, plays well, and has a great junior year. Like that's 5-star lineman with the type of skills that he has. That's still coveted at the next level. He's got to play well though. So all options still on the table. We had a $2 super chat here. While we're on the topic of injuries, do you guys know if Hogan Hansen is out for the season?
He's not. In fact, it was said today by Steve Kasula, and we said in one of our Inside the Forts a couple weeks ago that he was ahead of schedule, that he had hoped to play early in the year. When I talked to Chip Lindsey in the early summer, he actually mentioned 4 tight ends and not Hogan Hansen. We knew that he had been hurt, but we have confirmed that he did undergo a procedure. So, but he's out there practicing to the extent that he can. I don't think he's banging out there and blocking and stuff like that, but he's catching passes. He's doing pretty well. I expect to see him in September. Steve Kasula would not give us a firm timetable, but he did say he's out there doing things that he can do. So, and it's important that they have him. He's really obviously a good player. I think he's their best pass catcher at tight end, although they did have really good things to say about Deacon Tonelli today, which I thought was exciting.
Clayton's guy.
Yeah, I know. I was excited to hear that too. And yeah, we've heard good things about him in practices in the past. I'm excited to see if he gets a shot, what Tonelli can do in games. But Steve Kasula said today it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So I guess we'll see in that respect. But yeah, if they could get him back for Nebraska, that being Hogan Hansen, that would be huge. And obviously aiming for September for him. But Steve Kasula also said today, and this is no real surprise, but Hogan Hansen and Deacon Tonelli are the 2 players that are athletically the most similar to Colston Loveland. And we kind of saw a little bit of that last year with Hansen. He was quite raw, maybe not fully developed, put together in terms of his strength and things like that. But you can see he had a little extra juice to him. And I'll continue to say that Deacon Tonelli, that catch he had in last year's spring game, that catch and run, he's got a little juice to him too. Look out for, what is he, for number 43? Look out.